Today we are checking out the On Cloudmonster, a shoe I was super eager to try out for myself. It comes in so many different cool colorways, but what's it actually like to run in? If you are new here, hey, I'm TK. I'm an ex-physiotherapist turned photographer who really loves to run. Purchased this one with my own money because I really wanted to try it out. I really like what On are doing as brand. I follow a lot of their running team very closely, and actually that brand connection really made me want to try out some of their shoes. The Cloudmonster seemed to be the one worth trying and the best fit for my current shoe rotation. I'm building up to the Sydney Marathon and I've been doing a lot of training in this shoe. So these are my thoughts on the On Cloudmonster after 100+ miles. Let's jump in. Firstly, a quick glance over the specs, which I have here. Firstly, our price guide. Here in Australia, you're looking at 260 Australian dollars or 170 US dollars, 160 quid for my pommy friends. So maybe slightly on the pricier side. It weighs in at 275 grams or 9.7 ounces for a men's US size 9. So not super lightweight, but I would say it's pretty decent for quite a cushioned type of daily runner. Stack, we're looking at 30 millimeters in the heel, 24 up front. So you have a drop of 6 millimeters, which isn't high or low, so it's nice, it's somewhere in the middle. Of course, as an On shoe, we do have some cloud tech underneath, which is clearly advertised here on the shoe. These ones looking a bit more like a delicious honeycomb. Now, I do really like On as a brand, as mentioned, but I'm not sure I totally buy into their running on clouds promo. A nice slogan, but I'm not sure if it's anything more than that. So in the midsole, we have what they are calling helium foam. I'm a light runner, comfortably under 70 kilos, and I can definitely feel a little bit of compression in that cloud tech underneath. So I'd imagine a heavier runner would have a little bit more of that as well. Maybe this might slightly change your running experience, I'm not sure. Probably not dramatically. Interesting in the shoe, we also have this speed board inside. Isn't carbon, but it is a type of plate inside there. You can see it cut away through the middle in the bottom. Now, this adds a bit of firmness and structure, but the shoe is still reasonably flexible, so it's definitely not as rigid as some of your carbon plated shoes. For me, this speedboard in combination with its gentle rocker geometry does make it quite easy to pick up the pace just a little bit. It's definitely not the fastest shoe, but certainly not the slowest either, especially within a more cushioned daily trainer. I know On are really well known for their uppers, and despite this mesh upper being really simple in its design, I think it does actually work pretty well. It's thin and very breathable. The tongue is also gusseted and is also really thin and pretty comfortable as well. Another thing to point out, which is great, this shoe is made up of quite a few different recycled materials. The lockdown is pretty decent and the simple lacing design works well. I would say on one occasion, I accidentally tied this a little too tight and it put a lot of pressure just at the top of my foot, and I had pain there for quite a few days. Thankfully, this was only once and it was probably my mistake because it definitely hasn't happened again since, but I'm just wary not to tie them too tightly. The heel does have a little bit of padding, but thankfully not too much. I don't like heaps. It does feel locked and supported without having too much firm structure to it. Worth mentioning, I have heard others talk about this shoe having quite a narrow midfoot. Personally, I have a very narrow foot, so I haven't noticed this. Sizing, it runs true to my usual size, 10.5, which fits really well. Design-wise, we always know in your On shoes, you're going to look the part, and they have some really cool colorways in this particular model. For me, this is where On always really do excel in their designs, especially when so many shoes end up looking the same and in the same colorways. Yes, I'm talking to you in your pink Alpha Flies. So these shoes are no different. I love the design and would happily wear a number of the different colorways. The hardest part for me was actually deciding which one to get, and I probably went with the most simple, this nice clean white version. But of course, most importantly, what's it actually like to run in? So overall, I actually found this shoe really versatile, mostly for easy, longer runs, but anything just up to about tempo pace. Distance-wise, I've comfortably got well over the 20-kilometer mark on a number of occasions, including a few much longer runs. A good sign of this shoe's versatility and how much I've enjoyed running in it is just how quickly I've racked up over 200 kilometers in it, or over 100 miles for you lot living in the past. This is because I've really found myself grabbing these shoes for a number of different types of runs, from those slower, easy and recovery days all the way up to tempo and long runs. Personally, I don't love those super high, super soft, plush recovery type shoes. So this is more than enough for me, even on those recovery type days. Moving to those quicker paces, I would say this one isn't really designed as a speed shoe. I haven't really done anything beyond tempo in it, but it is still nice and comfortable to run, even at those slightly quicker speeds. So obviously a lot of your training should be at that slightly easier pace anyway, which is where I like this shoe. Personally, I find it pretty comfortable just above my easy pace, but not quite at my tempo pace. So this one definitely isn't a super fast shoe, but as a more cushioned daily type shoe, it does tick a lot of boxes. Would you run a marathon in it? Personally, it wouldn't be a marathon shoe for me, especially if your target is a little bit more pace orientated. But if your overall goal is looking more at getting through, being comfortable, having a versatile shoe, then maybe you would consider this for a marathon. One thing I would mention here is I found this shoe quite stable. It's nice and easy to quickly change directions. One thing to note here, I didn't love this shoe from the start. Probably the first 3 or 4 runs I did in it, I actually found it, I don't know, a weird mix of firm but soft. I think that speed board was a bit too firm for me to start with. It actually gave me kind of a bit of a bruising feel around my midfoot, and that lasted probably for the first 3 or 4 longer runs. But that quickly disappeared and I started to really enjoy running in this shoe. So if you're after a super plush, soft shoe, this probably isn't the one for you. It's got a nice balance for me now that I've run quite a bit in it. I find the Cloud Tech does give you a bit of softer compression underneath, but the addition of the speed board just gives it a little bit more firmness. So it's not too soft and not too firm. And lastly, in terms of durability, as you can see, this shoe's actually looking pretty good. I've done well over 200 kilometers in it and it's still holding up pretty well. So far the durability is really good and I hope I get quite a few more kilometers out of it. It's got decent grip, but just worn away slightly after 200 kilometers. So to sum up, overall, a few minor issues, but overall, I am really enjoying running in this shoe. I'd say the positives, it is nice and versatile, reasonably stable, and overall, it looks really good. So a few slight negatives, perhaps the overall pricing. This isn't a super special shoe. It's nice, I like it. It's really nice to get those easy runs in without too much cushion and without too much speed or poppiness. So it sits somewhere in the middle. But its pricing is probably on the pricier side. So there's more expensive shoes out there, but there's probably some better value shoes as well. So overall, I'm giving it a double thumbs up. Really enjoyed this shoe, hope to get a lot more kilometers in it. Thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Remember, we all run better together. Bye.